So we are from school in Wrocław, and we are participants of the project Filomates, which is we are interested in connections between mathematics and philosophy.
First of all, we want to start off with asking you, what interested you in philosophy itself?
Okay, so I studied philosophy many years ago, and I try to continue my research, and I'm basically interested in philosophy of morality and its relations with language theory. Somehow I try to investigate how our structure of the world, which is somehow defined by the language that we are using, affects our perception of what is good and what is wrong. So the relation between our vocabulary, our language, our dictionary, and the way in which we look at moral issues.
Yeah, and we'd like you to explain us those connections between mathematics and philosophy.
Yeah, there are many, I would say, and basically speaking, you can think about it in two different ways. The first one is that you try to take a philosophical problem and then interpret it in mathematical terms, for example, by the means of topology. Then try to solve this problem at the ground of mathematics, for example, topology, and then try to interpret it back to philosophical language and have the answer in philosophical terms. That's one approach. The other one is that you try to use the mathematical language to describe some philosophical reality and get inspired in this way. Try to find new ways, try to find new ideas, and in this way enrich your philosophical thinking. That's the way in which you can apply, so to speak, mathematics in philosophy. But also you can try to apply philosophy in mathematics, which is a completely different story. And among mathematicians you will find many people who are more philosophers of mathematics, trying to pose questions, so not only prove theorems, but also try to ask for those fundamentals of mathematics which seem to be obvious, but maybe are not. So that's why philosophers should ask if they are obvious, really that obvious, or we could try to move them somehow.
You are connected to a politician life of Wrocław, so how is it connected with philosophy, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. Yeah, I would say that I studied philosophy and then conducted research in philosophy and in mathematics parallelly. And at a certain moment of time, it was something that was most interesting for me, because I wanted to look at the reality from the most abstract perspective, to understand the fundamental relations somewhere there in the background. But at a certain moment of time, I thought that I need some applications, and I need to see how those abstract objects, abstract relations work in practice. And I had the feeling also that people can benefit a lot if they are able to apply this whole theoretical apparatus to their common day life. So what I started to do, I tried to interpret these abstract theories in terms of reality, I would say. And in this way, I also got involved into some political, social life in my city, but not only. And that's how I try to deal with those both aspects of reality, this abstract understanding of processes and also application of this knowledge and this understanding.
Why have you decided to study philosophy and somehow chose it as your path?
I would say, as Richard Rorty once said, that we are the human beings that we are because we read certain books, and these are the books that created us as human beings somehow at a certain moment of time. And I would say that when I was very young, I was 15, 16, 17 years old, I read certain books that made me decide to choose philosophy. But at that moment of time I chose philosophy and mathematics at the same time, so I did it parallelly. And I would say it's a really nice combination, because mathematics gives you a very formal and strict approach, which sometimes makes you feel that you would like to say something more in a more vague way, more fuzzy way, but you're not allowed to do it in mathematics, whereas you can do it in philosophy. And on the other hand, when you're studying philosophy, sometimes you feel like it's not precise enough, and you have the feeling that you would like to name things by their names, precise names, and say it right as it is. And that's something that mathematics enables you to do, and that's why this combination makes you feel comfortable somehow. And so I recommend that.
Can you point us some of the books you just talked about?
I would say I read some. For example, I read René Descartes' book when I was 17 or something, and then I also met a guy who was a friend of our family somehow, and I met with him a number of times, and we discussed philosophical issues also in relation to this book of René Descartes, and that was somehow inspiring. I also read a lot of so-called books that that present scientific results to the broad audience, this popularization of science. And so I read a lot of books about modern physics, and all of those books seem to be very interesting. And also many philosophical questions were included in those books. So I guess that somehow made me consider philosophy as the way for myself.